Hey guys, Zach Keaton here, back again with another review. This time is a little bit of a special review because it's my first black metal review, first true black metal review. I did review the Walt Glacier album. And if you don't know, I am a black metal fan. That is my preferred genre. So today we're going to be talking about Darkened Nocturn Slaughtercult's new album, Mardom. Darkened Nocturn Slaughtercult is a German-Polish black metal band, and they were formed in 1997. One of their key features, one of the things that kind of sets them apart, is their female vocalist. As far as I know, they're only one of a few true, second-wave black metal bands that feature a female vocalist. So that's pretty cool. And she does add some interesting elements to the songs. But, you're not going to be able to tell unless you know. It's not something you're going to listen to first time without knowing this in advance and realize that there's a female vocalist. It's just, something cool to know. And so this album really tears me up. On one hand, I think if I were given this album without context, just told to listen to this album, it's a pretty good album. But as most fans of Darkened Nocturne Slaughtercult, who we're going to call it DNS from now on, just to shorten it up, would know, as most fans of DNS would know, their big complaint normally is their lack of originality. They're unapologetically a second-wave band. They've been making second-wave music since 1997, and they're still doing it. So I'm kind of not digging that. I would like something a little bit more unique. Anyways, but let's go into the positives. Positives, Darkened Nocturne Slaughtercult really has second wave black metal down. Their production is phenomenal. I would say, as far as this is what black metal should sound like. It's got the perfect mixture of distortion and reverb. It's still, the riffs are still distinguishable. Drumming, super tight. And because of this good production, it has a pretty good impact, actually, which is something that you sometimes don't feel from black metal albums. So production is great. Even down to the vocals. Vocals sound really good. Oinler, who is the vocalist, she is able to hit a kind of lighter tone with some of her vocals than black metal is normally known for. She uses, I almost want to call it an inhale. It sounds a bit like an inhale, like, kind of your pig squeal vocals from death metal. But just because she's a woman, I think, I'm not going to make any generalizations or anything here, but I think because she's a woman, she's able to hit a higher note with her inhale kind of pig squeal vocals, and it keeps them sounding very black metal. And as a whole, this album sounds very black metal. It sounds, it's got all your typical black metal evilness and all that to it. It really exudes, sinisterness. I think if someone had given, if this album had been released in the 90s, this would be a kick-ass album. This would be remembered as a classic. Problem is, it's 2019. Second wave black metal has come and it has gone. I'm looking for something new, and this album just doesn't provide it. That's my big complaint with the album. It seems like Darkened Nocturne Slaughtercult, or DNS, which I said I was going to use, but apparently not, is aware that some of their fans are criticizing their music for lack of originality. And so they put in a few kind of newer elements. It's actually surprisingly melodic. It had a few melodic elements. It had a few, almost thrash metal riffs. It even had this one little solo where it featured this, weird, deep-sounding guitar that sounded like it only had 4 strings. I don't know what was up with that. I've never heard that before. And so they're clearly trying to do something new with their music, but it's almost like they're just not trying hard enough. I think maybe their label or their producer said, listen, you guys got to do something a little different here. You guys got to mix it up because we're tired of putting out the same stuff. There's no reason to release this album if you guys are going to put out the same stuff. So they tried, I think, to put out a few new, interesting elements to their music, and props to that, ultimately, you know, there will be a killer riff at the beginning of a song, and then it'll just go right into your black metal, typical, you know, double bass drum, tremolo picking, or trebolo, fucking hell. And, you know, just wall of sound type of stuff. Like, I feel like to review this album, I could have just listened to it once, and then listened to some Darkened for a bit, and given a similar take on it. Because it's just, there's just no originality, you know, this has all been done before. I want something new. I really want to love this album. And I think, you know, like I said, without context, if I'd been given this album, I think I really would have dug it. And I did dig it. It's just, you know, you're reminded that this is 2019. This isn't 1993. We're looking for something a little different now. And to be releasing an album, you know, that would have sounded great in 1993, to be releasing that now, it's just not necessary. You know, I probably would have been happier if they had gone the typical black metal route and thrown out a dungeon synth album. Like, you know, at least it would have been something different. And I think they really almost had a good album here. If they had just really focused on kind of making different music to what they've been making in the past, and had focused on, you know, kind of those more melodic elements, really doubled down on those and put those in, even though it is melodic and mellow black metal is something I generally don't dig, I would have liked it if they had, you know, if they had done that, if they had put something fucking new in it. Like, you know, I'm going to say I'm disappointed with this album. Because I really liked Darkened, Nocturn, Slaughtercult, and I felt like, for whatever reason, I felt like this was the year that they finally set themselves apart and released a kick-ass new album. And they didn't. Like, you might as well just listen to the previous album. You know, if you own that, same thing. Just doesn't really have a whole lot new. So, as far as the ratings go, this is something that tears me up. Because like I said, I like this album, to some extent. But then, I also really dislike this album. You know, if I'd been given this album without context, I probably would have given it an 8 out of 10. But then also the, you know, music critic in me, or the music fanatic in me, would love to give this album a 4 out of 10, because it just doesn't do a whole lot new. I think ultimately, I'm going to be fair to the album. I'm going to meet in the middle, give it a 6 out of 10. Because, you know, well, it might not be the most original music, it is still good music. And it's frankly not a 4 out of 10 album. It's a better album than that, you know. It has elements in it that, like I said, are really great. It has super clean, well choreographed, fucking hell. I think I made that mistake in a previous video. Anyways, it has well written, you know, really clean, really tight instrumentals, cool vocals. It just, you know, we've heard this before. I want something new. And so I think there's no chance that Darkened, Nocturne, Slaughtercult watches this video. But if they do, I want to say, fuck, put out a dungeon synth album, put out a death metal album, put out a pop album. Just give me something different. You know, because I'm tired of this. Like, you know, if I wanted to listen to this album, I would have listened to, if I wanted to listen to a second wave album, I would have listened to a better album than this, a better second wave album. You know, like Dark Throne Under a Funeral Moon or Burzum's debut. You know, when albums like that, great second wave albums exist, it just doesn't make sense for this to. Because, frankly, this is basically, I don't want to call them a cover band, but this is almost a fucking cover band. Like, it's a cover band just made up of parts that you wouldn't have heard in the original bands, if that makes sense. Well, anyways, I don't even know if you can see my face here. I might just have to delete this video. I don't think I will, because I'm kind of happy with how I've delivered this. But anyways, that's my take on the new Darkened, Nocturne, Slaughtercult album. Look forward to, on this channel, a re-review of the Ultimus Something Wicked Marches In, because that was a shit review. I want to redo that. Shout out to the 2 people who left negative comments on that video and kind of told me to get my act together, because frankly, rewatching that video, it was pretty bad. So I want to redo that. I want to review Walter Geflüster's new album, and I want to review the new Waste of Space Orchestra album. So stay tuned for that. Please subscribe, and if you guys have anything that you would like to see me review, or hell, I would love it even if you know, any of the musicians out there would send me your music, like especially if you're a smaller band. I want to hear it. I'd love to review some underground stuff. So yeah, please subscribe, or I don't know, I guess don't if you don't want to. And yeah, that's my take on the new Darkened Nocturn Slaughtercult album. See you soon.